Speak. Don't know what you're doing. He's freshly waxed.
Talbot's makeup tips brought to you by the Cortex Group.
Right, where's my spear?
That's what everyone else is asking, I'm sure. May I join you? So I'm going to calm myself. I'm going to lock the door.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but... no, apparently it's cold today.
Shut up, it's average.
It's up with Arvid, a man from the south, very distinctive. Caradak spoke with Arvid at length about looking for someone that he couldn't describe. Doesn't know who they are, where they're from, but they're a woman, and that Arvid has women, so it must be Arvid. Did he look into it? Arvid said 24 hours, come back to me and I'll find out.
She has two eyes as well.
Yeah.
2 eyes.
Oh, the woman with 2 eyes?
Yes.
Excellent.
But the main part of this is, even though Caradak has spent the night away, the main part of this is that Ulmakor had several unexpectedly graphic visions. One of which was Buso, the Thane of the Vaktori, eyes of the void, effectively, standing in the Brackenvalsh in the stream of light near an old hut. The second one, of course, indicated that there was a dire threat upon the human tribes coming from the north and south. You saw the green-skinned horde, as well as the northern tribes coming forth, and at the centre of it all was the Seventh Eye, and the centre of the Seventh Eye was Ingvar, who appeared to be a direct threat to Ulmakor's future happiness.
Oh, nothing new there.
Get in line.
So you... yeah, for those that are tuning in, that's all previous episodes. Please watch them, and we'll move forward now. Waking up, sweat covered, the bedsheets twisted around your feet. You hold a screaming as the memory of these visions flash by over your head, across your mind, across your eyes. It is early morning, and you can hear the sound of the town is already active and moving around. Your breathing is rapid. You're panting almost. As you slowly relax back into the mattress.
Right, obviously terrible visions, lots of questions. Go to there'll be a basin somewhere, there usually is. Get some the cold water pitcher, splash water over myself. Try and wake up. Try and come to some sense of idea of what I've experienced. And then get myself ready to go out through the communal sort of public areas, and I need to speak to Caradak quickly. I need to find out what's going on. I open the door, expecting to see Caradak, and I open the door and...
There is no Caradak. You can see a number of the servants are moving through the Great Hall, banking the fire up, preparing up, cleaning away some of the plates and the drinking from the night before. Obviously the potent feast is now well and truly over. Yeah. All guests, all of the other tribal leaders have left, at least the Great Hall. Yeah. But apart from the servants, there is no sign of Caradak. It is still early morning, but you'd expect them to be there prepared.
Right, I'll call out to one of the servants and ask, has anyone seen Caradak?
The Vaktori.
The Vaktori, obviously they won't know as Caradak. Have you seen the Vaktori?
No Seventh Eye is the answer from the three servants that are in the Great Hall.
Right.
They all immediately look incredibly worried, scared almost at being addressed by you and not being able to give you an answer they know you want.
Yeah, which is, yeah, where is he? Right.
Across the way, you see Erstat walking out of his chambers. He looks over at you. Morning, Suvet, as he steps down. One of the servant girls that has just talked to you. Food and water, please. He didn't say please. Food and water now. And he sits down, looking up at you. He's freshly waxed, freshly scented. You can smell him from here.
Right. I'll come across. Erstat, good to see you. may I join you for the breaking of the fast? I
It
sit
literally takes a couple of moments, doesn't it?
down. Yeah,
Do I have a choice?
Is that what he says to me?
Yeah.
No, of course you don't have a choice. And I sit down.
Well, it was nice of you to ask, Sovit.
One always gives people the choice, whether it's real or imagined. You do have a choice. You could have said something that I didn't like. That would have been your choice.
Of course, Sovit. The servant girl comes along, puts the food and drink down in front of him, and then quickly rushes off to get you more.
Get me something. So, the proceedings of the night. What's your thoughts? What say you for the for the period before the sacrifice?
The period before, that's obviously for you to decide if you want to prolong this any longer. Personally, I think we sacrifice them as soon as possible, get them done with, and get the king and the queen heading south as soon as we can, and therefore Ingvar will be happy, and the way of the seventh eye will be met.
Yes.
Why delay?
The delay is to allow for me to understand how the other tribes are taking the movement, the direction that the Seventh Eye are placing on Bjorn and his wife. That I wish to make sure that the balance is maintained. So anyways, just was to see your views. What have you planned for the rest of the day? You seem all ready to go somewhere.
I am up early every day. Is the best way. We always catch those out, don't we? That don't expect the authority of the Seventh Eye. I shall move through the town. I shall investigate various areas that I know people to come together, and I shall make my presence known and make everyone uncomfortable, see if any mistakes are made. Because there is too many people here from the tribes, and I wish, like you, to know so that I may report to Ingvar, our leader.
Have you scheduled any meeting with Bjorn this morning?
No, I don't schedule meetings. I tell him when I want to see him, and he will obey me.
But you do meet with him regularly to find out his views, to find out his ideas, to understand his thoughts.
From time to time, if
Regularly.
it needs me. Regularly from time to time.
So not regularly.
My regular might be different to your regular, so that as and when needed.
As and when needed.
I am, after all, the Zakonik here.
Yes, and obviously as the Zakonik, as I'm sure that you are aware and that Ingvar is aware, the purpose of the Zakonik is to understand the tribal leader's views, to understand the way he's driving this tribe, so that we can report back more fully, so we can understand. I don't know how you're going to do that if you don't meet with Bjorn on a regular basis.
Ingvar doesn't seem to be upset with my reporting periods, Sovit.
If that's what you think.
I would assume that he would tell me quite.
Oh, you're assuming now?
quite openly.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as you're thinking now, you're assuming. That's great. Excellent. And I'll stand up. Actually, I think I'll retire and I'll shout when the girls, send it to my room, my food. Thinking and assuming. Whatever next from a Zakonik, and I'll walk off and leave him by himself.
There's nothing. There's very little reflective surfaces, but you can imagine the look of hate and fear mixed equally upon the man's face. Your food is pretty much effectively following you into your room itself.
Set it where you find space, and then leave me. And I do not wish to be disturbed for the next 5 or 10 minutes while I eat my meal. Tell me the moment that that we have any sign of
Victoria.
the Victoria.
Says Tal.
Says tell through me ears. Let me know as soon as he approaches. Other than that, don't disturb me, and I'll close the door.
Some of that. Okay. Well, you eat a meal in silence, and you can hear from the main chamber that there's several people have entered. Warriors, by the sound of it. Their talk is crude, their conversation not really fitting of any interest to yourself. But you can clearly, when I say clearly here, you can just hear the odd raucous sort of laughter.
How long are we talking about? Is it like I've gone in, had breakfast,
Yep.
and no sign of...
Absolutely none. You're kind of sitting there, no doubt, fuming.
Oh, yeah, no.
Getting more and more angry.
Well fuming, right. So I'm going to calm myself. I'm going to lock the door, and then I'm going to form like a circle, like not drawn out, but there's effectively what would be a good-sized circle in front of the fireplace. and get myself sort of like in a cross-leg position and start chanting.
In the main hall.
No, in my room.
Sorry, after you stepped out.
No,
okay, in your room. Yep,
in my
yep.
room. Yeah, that would be a bit awkward. Everyone's like, got to be somewhere.
That would definitely clear the room out.
And so I start chanting, and I start trying to forming a conduit that I've done many times before to contact Godric, and I'll start that process off, and I'll start just over and over and over, and basically using the power of the seventh eye. I'm going to reach out to Godric to touch his mind and form a contact with Godric.
Okay. You wake up. Your you've got a bit of a pounding headache, as if your head's been rang. You've taken a good slap. You are otherwise very relaxed, and for work purposes only, one of Ovid's gift is wrapped around you in silk sheeting. The light of the early morning is shafting in through the silk drapes, and there's the warmth only generated by two bodies entwined in the room.
I'll open. I've sort of hold my eyes, trying. So, are you saying that Caradak is completely? Is he completely lashed? Is he all right? Am I?
You just got a little bit of a sort of a headache,
okay.
from you've had ale before, and
Yeah.
sometimes if you've drank a little bit too much, that you can get that dehydrated. There's a bit of a pounding. Nothing that a good head dunk in a water trough.
Good. I'll do that
And
then.
some salted food of some kind.
So I'll throw the gifts aside.
Could have just moved them.
That's how Caradak rolls.
That's how they roll.
Right.
Yeah, there is a little
find
sort of
a-
like,
Yeah.
the scramble for silk sheets and.
So
and,
I mean,
clothing.
I'll be clutching my head. I get up, find a bowl basin, wash
Yep.
my face, dunk my head in it, and sort of look at the two girls, and ask, "What hour of day is this?"
Don't know, my lovely.
Just look. Open up the drapes.
The sun's like just blasts into your face from the main forecourt. You are literally naked as you go whoosh, and you stand there. There's the main
I'm aware.
court.
Yeah, I'm
The
aware.
courtyard. There's some Arvid sitting there. There's a couple of women that are like, "Oh, morning!" Sunshine.
Just happy to see everyone.
So yeah, open up the drapes.
You
No,
hear,
sun.
"Oh, apparently it's cold today."
No, it's totally set up. I should have at least put some pants on, so I wasn't set up for this. It's
One person feverishly drawing.
Giggling.
that's for life now, isn't it? It's gonna be everywhere. God,
Oh, is it cold? I'm in the middle of the desert.
The mighty Caradak. Well, that mighty.
So somebody feels the chill today.
shut up. It's average.
It's got big
As I
heads.
shout.
Oh, apparently it's chilly this morning. It's average.
Right, where's my spear?
That's what everyone else is asking, I'm sure.
Shut up with the innuendos. We're not going to progress with that. Right, okay.
One of the women that's one of the gifts walks up behind with it's like a leather, quite a heavy leather
Right.
protection. It's part of the guy with straps, puts it around you, ties it. It's a couple of layers, ties it tight around your waist. It goes down to your knee. It's a thick leather protection. This is a gift from Arvid.
Pants.
Ish.
Oh, right. So, yeah, okay. I'll close the drapes. I'll move it.
Yeah, theatrical. Aww. Don't be shy, says Arvid.
I didn't need all of it. Right, okay. I'll push the girl aside again. For the, realizing that
falls over holding your press plate. From outside, the tent, the curtains are like, there's just the odd little screech.
so throw her aside, get my armor, gather my stuff
Yeah.
as quickly as feasibly possible.
Right.
Sort myself out, get some water, whatever. Send it. I don't know what I'd carry oils and stuff, wouldn't I imagine?
If you did.
I probably wouldn't have.
No, you left
No,
all
I
your
would
stuff
have
in the
left
main
the stuff in the main hole. So yeah, get some water. wash my hair, pull it back, and just dash out because I'm fully realising, or Caradak realises he's very late.
Right. As you make your dash out, you hear Arvid from behind you going, "Don't worry, warrior, there's no angry husband," as you dive down the doorway, through the archway, and Thuringin, the daytime Thuringin anyway, literally laughing, deep and bellowing, and full of mirth as you run off down the street. "Run, little man!"
Right, okay.
So you're heading to the Great Hall.
I am
half naked.
I am hot.
So you're carrying
I've
your
got
shoes.
my shoes. Yeah,
you've got
but
your
literally,
sword
I'm
empties
getting
on your
dressed as I'm
arms.
running. I'm getting dressed as I'm running.
That's
Ever been seen before?
You're hopping down the street.
Hopping down the street, yeah, trying
shoe
to put my shoes on and get what's that? Is that
maintaining the dignity of the Victoria, the fearsomeness.
So you make your way through to the Great Hall itself. Meanwhile, in your mind's eye, as opposed to physical, the image of Godric appears in the smoke rising from the fireplace before you.
Godric, can you hear me?
After a couple of moments, seems to be a
What? You're delayed. Not quite coming through.
Ulmakor, my friend.
Godric, are you free to speak? Are you alone?
Of course, it is far too early for me to be leaving my tent.
Right.
It's cold where I am.
It's cold where I am as well.
it's cold where I am. Just saying.
No. So, Godric, things have taken a bit of a turn down here in the court of King Bjorn. I think that Ingvar's moving against us. From what I understand, have you been aware that of the changes that are occurring down here with the Umberogan? The size of the town is now it's bigger than any town that I've ever seen in any of the Empire. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of no more than what Ingvar told us, that Bjorn had gathered some of the tribes and they had sworn allegiance to each other, or at least friendship. But I wasn't aware that Reikdorf had changed.
Reikdorf is huge. Reikdorf bears no resemblance to anything that I was aware of in the short time that I've been away. Of more concern is that whilst Bjorn is being sent to his inevitable death in the Great Forest, which Ingvar did tell us that he was wanting to take him down a peg, it seems that Buso is looking like he is the instrument of that death, perhaps. But of more concern, I'm smelling Ingvar's rot here. I'm smelling his foul stench in Erstat. Erstat is not Semnathai. He's portraying Semnathai that I don't recognise. It's a smell. It's a feeling. It's something that I think that Ingvar is making plans to perhaps depose two of the Soviet that don't necessarily think along his lines. Have you picked up anything since I've been away?
No, Ingvar's been closeted away. I have not been summoned to any more council in the last couple of days. It has only been a few days since you were last here. All I could say is be careful, my friend. Though Erstat, normally you could remove yourself without any need, we both know that he is an underling of Ingvar himself. I will see what I can find out here.
Right.
Talk to some of our friends and see if there's any decisions are being made. The Victoria have not, from what I understand, been mobilised, and Buso is still here.
Right. Okay.
Keep your counsel close. Is there any that you can trust there?
Of the Umberogans, Bjorn is still a faithful friend and still a servant of the Semnathai, that we recognise, as is his court and as are his men. Erstat, however, is an influence that I don't recognise. I don't recognise as a Semnathai. I don't recognise this town, what it's become in terms of its size. I do understand and I do share with some of the concerns that Ingvar had in terms of how Bjorn has extended his influence, but we're seeing meetings of tribes. All the tribes are meeting here. It's a meeting place. It's become something that I don't recognise, and it's certainly not something that has been shared by Ingvar. If he knows this, and Erstat seems to think that this has all been shared on a regular basis over the last 5 years. Watch out, my friend. I think there's a plot here. and I would counsel and caution you to be aware that we are being excluded. Whether that is all the Soviet or just you and I, but we are being excluded.
You've spoken over the last few years of time spent speaking with Tal. You've said that you believe that there's a great threat coming and that the Seventh Eye may not be powerful enough to protect the tribes, that the tribes themselves have a greater part to play. Though Ingvar sees and the Seventh Eye would seek to keep the Umbarogan in check, be open to the fact that maybe our time has come and that the tribes have to be able to rise out from beneath us. Perhaps the King and the Umbarogan are our future. Do not be so quick to destroy that which the King has built. We are forever connected to this Umbarogan tribe. You know our connections as well as any, and we must keep that to ourselves. Be hesitant to follow your Seventh Eye teachings without more thought. Do not be so quick.
As always, Godric, I will heed your counsel. Things are moving fast down here, things that I was not aware of, and without Seventh Eye guidance, someone is guiding the events down here, but it does not have the feel of the Seventh Eye. And I'll break the contact.
Okay. He dissipates amongst the smoke.
Right.
You hear coming down the corridor the tramp of of reinforced sandaled feet, and it comes to a panting halt on the other side of your door. Very quickly, the panting is suppressed in only a way that only a Vaktari is capable of mastering his body and his gasping breaths.
I go to the door and unlock it, because obviously I locked it, and open in. Caradak. In.
He's standing there as if he's been on sentry all night.
Right. Somewhere. Yeah. Been at attention all night. Right.
Over his shoulder you see Erstat. Which way is he going? Straight out the main hall.
Come in.
Just watching him. Okay. I go on.
Report. What did you learn of the tribes? The tribes. While I was with King Bjorn, you were to understand their positions and their thoughts and feelings on what's happening in this town and with this meeting. What did you learn?
I've learned very little, but I'm working on it.
They were not talking to you. They were uncommunicative.
Not the tribes. I did not try to commune with the tribes, Master.
Explain.
I headed to the docks, Master. I tried to investigate Erstat's properties, the Zakaniks.
So, wait. After we left, I said, you need to go and mingle amongst the tribes. There was important people from all the tribes here. All of them. Not just one or two. All. And all we needed to know at that stage was what were their thoughts on the basis of what we'd just seen. Quite momentous decisions. King Bjorn has become something we don't recognise, and all you needed to do, as I asked, as I told you, was to mingle amongst the tribes. What do I care what's going on in the docks? What do I care at this stage what Erstat is doing in the docks? I need to know what the tribes are doing, because I need to know what their position is in regard to Bjorn. And what did you do? What did you learn in the docks?
I visited Ovid. He seems to be a slave driver of some sort. He
A slave driver.
Tents of pleasure.
And where else?
I visited the local...
Right. So, let me get this straight.
I went for a drink to mingle with the locals.
So, I asked you to find out the thoughts of all the tribal leaders and mingle with their parties last night. You, on the other hand, decided what the best use of your time was to go drinking and whoring. Is that basically what we're talking about? Have I missed anything? Is there an insight that you could perhaps furnish to me that perhaps I've missed from that characterisation? Did you do anything, I asked?
I found...
I know what you found, but how does that help me? I think you forget yourself, Vakhtari. I think you forget who I am. Am I not Semnathai? Am I not Soviet?
You are, Master.
And so why would you treat me like a serving girl? Why would you treat me like someone that matters not? You got nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. Do I even know what's inside Erstat's chest?
Not yet.
No, I have a piece of paper that tells me about some ownership of some property, and you spend a night in the arms of a girl. Get out.
I leave. And go stand outside.
Out of the Great Hall, outside his door.
Just out his door with security.
At attention.
Attention, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear from his footsteps he doesn't go far. I'm assuming they close the door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You close the door.
I close the door and then stand
You can see he takes up a central position in front of the door. No doubt as you fume.
Yeah, I'm quite ropable at this stage, so...
Phew. Get a drink or serving girl as she walks past. No, don't do that.
Port in my face.
No,
There's no... I mean, at this point, it's not the first time you've been dressed down by Ulmakor or Semnathai. You've seen Semnathai order the ritual sacrifice and death of Vakhtari, of the Soviet. Not of the Soviet, sorry, of Zakaniks even. Semnathai, you are very much reminded that Ulmakor is one of the ruling six and answers only to Ingvar. His power reaches to every single one of the tribes here, and your life is, as you are very quickly reminded at that point, nothing to Ulmakor. And yes, on one hand, you've also been given a certain amount of treatment in the sense of to have more trust in you. And you have been sent out to do things that obviously Vakhtari aren't. But you can't help but feel that at this point your life is hanging in a thread. By a thread, as it were. People do not upset the Semnathai. You know this. And they won't hide behind the gods. You wind them up. They are power and they don't tolerate failure. And in the eyes of the Semnathai Ulmakor, you've obviously failed them. But you're taking the stance.
I've taken the stance. I am very much attention, and I've taken, these words of.
For anyone from the outside, you're stoic.
Yeah,
your face is drawn.
What I'm feeling on the inside is mine alone. But
of course.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up the room.
Right. Literally moments, heartbeats have passed.
Just I'm going to come up. Erstat left. Make sure he's out. I don't mean follow him. Just go and check to make sure he's actually made his way away from this building.
Yes, Semnathai. I'll head out and locate Erstat.
If you can.
If I can, yeah.
Okay, you get to the front of the Great Hall. There is no sign of the Sakinik. Whether you're aware that you left or not, obviously you've been told he has, but it wouldn't take long, moments, for him to be able to pass down a side alley or door, and someone else. He's not visible. Do you move off into the town looking for him, or do you just stop out the...
I'll stop out there, yeah.
Okay. As he makes his way down the Great Hall, what do you do?
Well, I'm waiting, because I need to know if he's there, and I'm moving towards Erstat's room.
Well, if I can't locate him, I'll head back in.
Will you turn around, you can see him.
I can see him, I'll say. And nobody's here, right?
The serving girls.
The serving girls.
And there's there's three Umbarogan warriors having breaking their fast.
I cannot locate the Zakanik. That's the Semnathai.
Wait here. Alert me if you see him. I'm going to do the job that you were supposed to do. And I'll head towards Erstat's room.
Okay.
I am absolutely livid, and therefore drawing in as much power as my God's given right or if I could create a nimbus of fury, I would be. I don't know that we actually can create, but I am. You can tell by the way I'm striding towards that door.
Yep. But you are consciously
Drawing in. Yeah.
right. As you heading down the corridor, you see that the main fire, which is cooking the food for the rest of the day. You see it gutters. Doesn't go completely out. It's quite a large fire, but you can see it actually does gutter. You can see frost form in a line from where he's gone through. The chandelier above, with its candles, snuffs out. A brazier on the wall as he heads in goes out, and you can see frost form.
Does Caradak aware that this is?
He doesn't seem to. You what?
Yeah. Would I be aware that?
You've seen power
I've
used.
seen this before from
Ulmakor only. You've
yeah.
never seen it from any other of the
Yeah.
Seventhai.
Yeah.
It specifically only comes apparently from Ulmakor, and you've seen
So
it.
now I'm Karadak's aware that he's not.
It's rare.
He is not. This happens when he is enraged.
Extremely angry.
So, okay.
You go towards the door itself, and you know, like a bubble ahead of you. You can see the door goes.
Yeah. Well,
And,
I want the door. I want to. I don't want to touch the door. I'm just moving the door out of the way.
the door, as you step in, hinges crack, dust falls from stone. Inside, the bed sheets ruffle up against the far wall, papers flick into the air. The chair screeches a little bit across the floor. As you stand there, around you, you can see the everything that is not nailed down starts to rock and roll.
And my focus is on that chest, and I want the chest open.
Right.
I don't want to touch the chest. I just want it to open. That's my force is open, and you know.
Yep. Okay. The lock bolt you see just cracks and just drops, opens. The latch flings back, and as if somebody just throws open the top, and it cracks up against the wall itself. Timber again breaks. You can just there's almost like a rumbling in the air,
Yeah.
and you can hear the sound of splintering timber and wood coming from down the way. The women move off. The servant girls look down there, pure fear, and they're out the hall. The warriors, you can see turning around, they're making the sign of more and the protection against evil, against all, you know, any protective signs that can go. They get out and leave, leaving you standing in the hall. Inside the casket, you can see that there's a blanket, or there's a thick material is predominantly folded on top. Blanket, cloak of some kind. It is a dark material, quite expensive by the looks of its build, but you'll have to move that to look underneath.
Right. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move stuff out the way.
Right. You throw it to one side. It is very soft. It's a weave that you've never felt before.
Okay.
It's almost like touching the pelt of a wolf pup. You know, really soft.
All right. Okay.
Right, and you've never felt that in material before. It's a really soft sort of feel. It almost shimmers. Not in a weird magical way, but in the way that the material, whatever's been, however it's formed.
Right.
Yeah, but you've never felt
So it's
the
almost
like before.
Like softer than dove.
Yeah.
Right.
You push that to one side. Beneath, you can see that there is a small chest, not like a casket, a box of some kind, a locking box. And on the right-hand side, you can see that there is a pestle with dried material within it. And then beside that, you can see that there is a single left glove.
Left glove.
Woman's, you would see by the looks of the leather, not necessarily size, but it's not like a gauntlet. It's not a, you know, one of these that seems to be like some kind of velvety, not velvety, the wrong word, you don't know what velvet is. A soft material like glove is beside it, and in the light it looks somewhat like purple in colour. That's it.
Right. What's in the? Oh, okay, so the inside the pestle.
Yep.
Is it herbs I recognise or a residue I recognise?
Looks like paint. So a mix of herbs and dyes basically, and it looks like paint, purple.
Right. So I'll have a sniff. Is it something that again like?
Just
So it's
common, just paint.
just paint.
Yep.
Right. And this locked box, this locking box, the smaller box.
Yep.
Flip that over.
Okay, opening it up, you see that there's a lock of mousy blonde hair. It's not fresh. It's in a small clasp, and the clasp is in the shape of a crow's head. an emaciated crow's head. Look very, very well made, very specifically very well made, highly crafted, well beyond anything that the cenotaph would normally have. You know, this is stuff that you'd come across in the time. Then normally you'd think it's, you know, alpha perhaps, because you don't know anybody's hand that's capable of doing it. To be the fact that you're looking at this thing and thinking that clasp actually looks like a rotting corpse. It's the skull of a bird as opposed to just the depiction, you know.
It's not a tribal mark. It's not something I'm aware of like that.
Nope, never seen it before. And it has been wound tight. It is a very tight metal circle, and this hair is wrapped within it. Beside that, you also note that there is a ring with a golden amber-like stone. Within the stone, you can see that there is what appears to be the shape, or when it was formed, there was a shape of a teardrop, and that is partly filled with liquid. I mean, literally, as you pick it up, you can see within the amber stone, you actually see that liquid move around inside this teardrop.
And I have no knowledge of what these are.
Nope.
These are all right. The lock of hair, I'll touch and I'll try and sense. What is this? Is it a lock of human hair? Is it a lot of animal hair? Is it
Human hair.
It's human hair.
Yep.
I run this clasp. I'm going to hold the clasp in my hand, and then, much like when I was concentrating on trying to contact Godric, I'm going to let the innate power, the seventh eye. I'm going to try and get a sense of where does this take me? Is there a direction to this? Is there a resonance that can give you an idea? You know, like an image, vision. See if there's anything that's been held over into it. It's a technique that I've tried before to try and get some sense of perhaps echoes of a past where you can pick up something and you can sometimes see if there's anything that's buried into it. I don't mean like an innate power, but if there's a memory that's locked them into it, or it's a way that Ulmakor can move through that, almost like into that time, and almost get a sense of a location or something. If there's a strong associated memory, you know, that it doesn't always work, but it's something that he tries to see whether there's anything.
If it gives him any images or any connection, it's got any power behind it. Yep. Okay. So, well, in doing so, obviously, you're very good at this. This is one of your strengths, is the speed with which you can go into a trance to connect to the unknown. Let's be honest, you don't know what it is. You know, in some cases, it's like, well, this is definitely Tal is sending me a message, and other times you're not 100% sure, but you know, you're aware of the other gods, Tal being your primary, for multiple reasons. This is nothing of Tal. This is something else. You feel power, incredible power, very old power, and it comes from the clasp itself. In the hair, you see, or you hear weeping, a woman crying. It's not. It's a crying of loss, but not terror. Right. You've heard women cry in terror when they're losing something. Something's taken from them. You know, a child taken from them, etc. This is the heartbreak and loss of something that they are. It's not the terror behind it. It's the sadness, a deep sadness. Overall, though, over all of it is the overwhelming flapping of countless wings, literally to the point where you feel like crouching down and looking around. Just this overwhelming threat that comes with it. All sound has ceased. You can't hear them grumbling or kicking things over, smashing things. There's a silence that comes with, that you know from nature, that comes with a threat. In nature, you move into an area and it's this silent, there's a threat. Nature is aware that there is something, a predator. Your instincts come into play so strongly that before you even realise what you're doing, your shield is around and you've got your spear is down and you're pointing back towards that archway. Everything inside you, because you recognise fear, you know the feeling of fear, but it doesn't control you. It makes you faster, makes you aware. Your combat prowess is increased, and you are feeling a massive threat from that doorway.
Yes, as a threat. Okay.
Yeah, everything about you is saying that there is a threat.
Right.
You've had a Thuringian berserker charge you down. You know, when you've gone for a tithe, this is the sort of threat level that is, this is how you feel. Direct, absolute combat threat in your presence. But there's nothing around. Your eyes are wide. You take on a defensive stance, your feet planted to take on a charge, but there's no threat, there's no sound. It's the absence of sound that seems to fuel it.
I hold my position. I mean, am I in control of it? Am I in
You're
control?
100% control.
I'm in control. So if I'm in control, I will stay positioned in the defensive guard because I understand my last order to remain here to watch out for Erstat.
You know that the threat is
Yeah.
coming from where Ulmakor went.
Right. Yeah.
You recognise that, yeah? Okay. Right. Moments pass and you feel the danger leave, like a wave, as if coming across a large predator cat, ready. It decides, or it's moved on, and you're no longer under threat. You feel your body relax. You feel the adrenaline start to leave your body in the shakes, the internal cold that comes with it.
Right.
The sounds of wings, the threat around you vanishes. You realise that you were in an encompassing darkness that seemed to come upon you, and that as these wings are flapping all around you, it's an instantaneous moment of what the, and then you feel the power within you rise to meet it, and it pushes it back. The shadow shreds, it tears away, and the natural light comes back, and with it, the absence of sound, the crying, and whatever the threat was, it's gone.
It's gone. Is the brooch and lock of hair still intact, or is it innate in my hand? Is it?
You can feel the power in the brooch. The hair still has that feel about it, but it's no longer reacting to because you're no longer putting your presence into it, your essence into it. You're not activating it.
Like charging it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll put that back in the box and shut that small box. Is there anything in there that's catching my eye other than?
Purple paint in the pestle, a purple leathery glove, and just those two. And all of it is of curiosities, none of which you'd expect to find in the overall. None of, some of you've never felt a cloak like that. You've never seen,
It's
a
not
glove.
semi-thigh.
It's definitely not semi-thigh. And dyeing things is an expensive purchase. A purple glove specifically. Purple is an incredibly difficult dye. It's a mastery. You know that, and it takes things that you just don't commonly get a hold of.
Right. Okay. I'm going to close the lid of the chest. Obviously the chest lock's pretty much not repairable, but I'll close it. I'm not cared about that. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I'll shut it. No, I'll go back in. I have a check mind, and I'll take out the small box, and I'll take that with me.
Okay. And just to be clear from my point of view, so
I closed I'll put everything in.
clasp, the hair is in the small box. You're taking the small box with
everything
in there.
Yeah.
Believe the robe, hooded cloak, the glove, and the pestle, just casually thrown back in there. Then with the chest, you close the chest lid.
Yeah, just close that lid. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then step back out.
Yeah, then go back out.
You see Ulmakor walking towards you.
Is he still in the threat?
Am I in the threat? Is that
don't
how
know.
long's that past though? If the wave's gone, I'll stand. I'll return to.
You take a couple of moments and then sort of right now.
yeah.
In which case he's
I'm
up.
standing at attention.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, watching you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Erstat, did he arrive? No.
No,
Right.
master.
I'll take this box back to my rooms.
Mhm.
I'll find somewhere where I can stash it. And then what I want to do is, because the Semnothai usually have trinkets and things that we live in tents, it's not exactly secure, although people wouldn't ever think of robbing a Semnothai. Things can go missing.
Yep.
And one of the things that we learn pretty much quickly is it's like a way of masking the vision of something. You know, like almost like weaving I won't use the word spell, but it's a way of just.
You put a barrier around.
It's like a confusion.
Yeah.
People don't see stuff that we would like unless they are powerful enough to break through it. It's the sort of thing that you learn quickly when you're moving up to the ranks as a Semnothai, and you learn how just to hide little trinkets and things like that you might want to keep to yourself. And it's a simple trick, but it's very effective, particularly against non-Semnothai.
Yep.
So that's what I'm going to do with that box. I'm going to put it somewhere that makes sense, that you're not going to trip over it, or leave, I'm not going to leave it in the centre of the room, but just somewhere there's like a nook or a cranny or whatever.
So you're not going to push this protective, this obscuring, this confusion spell across the trigger to, you're not going to make power enough, because you are more than capable of blocking it against other Senathai.
I want it to be,
Especially the power that you feel coming from Erstat.
Yeah,
You can make it blind
exactly.
too.
I want it to be, I want it to be so that no one can know about this. They'll look at it and won't see it.
Yes, okay.
And that's basically what it is. But it's not like sort of like I'm putting my life's worth into
Understood,
it.
yeah.
But it's
Whatever it takes.
yeah. But it's enough to keep stuff. I have stuff in my tent that I keep hidden from other Senathai.
Yep.
Not that again we would expect Senathai, but if they did come into my tents, they wouldn't find some stuff. I don't know if it would work against Ingvar, because I've never felt the urge to test that. But certainly, I don't want anyone to know where this is.
When he goes in his rooms, what do you do?
I'm always.
Do you follow him down the
I
corridor
always
or
follow.
what?
Yeah.
Right. You hear him. He's sort of crouching down in his room. Did you leave the door? You close the door behind you, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can hear him mumbling and talking. You know the words of power, though you don't understand them. However, there is a smell of spring, early spring blossom, wafting out of the room. It's not something that you recognise, and it's definitely doesn't seem to fit. There's literally a smell of perfume, effectively, comes through very strong around you. And passes by. After you've done this, are you opening the door again?
Yeah.
As you finish concentrating, you're like, you smell the perfume. You know over the years of
That's been successful.
the potential side effect of anything it has. It doesn't mean that in itself that is that is exactly what you get from this.
Yeah.
That's just that you could have put a curse on somebody. It's a sometimes thing, because you've obviously been doing. From your point of view, of course, this is another smell. This is another thing you've seen. Frost today, a shadowy, an unseen threat, and now the smell of spring and perfume. But the Senathai, the Soviet is not in any way reacting to any of it.
If only I just looked in the chest, he wouldn't have got this upset. This is a whole new level of upset.
Yeah, he's that angry. He's literally warping the world around him.
Because of you.
It's all because of Caradak.
And that's why the Warhammer world exploded.
Yeah. Just because of that damn chest. Right. Okay. Have you?
So I've come out.
As to do attention.
So Caradak, shall we away to the town to see what it is that you actually found, and you can tell me about your night and anything of import. I say import. I don't need the grubby details.
Sorry,
I just need the
I'm
import.
just making, because after all that he comes and goes, well, Caradak.
Oh yeah, but it's
Well,
not,
it's totally calm.
It's not. It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm not smiley.
No.
I'm not.
Yeah.
This is right.
Okay,
It's
so
almost like this is your chance to
Did-
give me a reason why you're not dead within about the next 5 minutes. Well,
the master of the slaves, his name's Arvid. He controls the guilds. If you recall, Master, we heard a lady in Erstat's room.
he controls all women in this town.
I don't know, maybe the slave guilds?
It was a slave girl we heard.
It was a female, nevertheless.
Your
I-
leaps of intellect bemuse me sometimes.
I hope, Master, that if I could locate the girl, that I could question her and find out more information on Erstat.
Okay. Well, let's go and speak to, what was his name?
Arvid.
Arvid, the ruler of all women in this town. Oh, so you're believing it. You're telling me that's what it is. He knows of every single woman in this town. So this is a man of importance. Perhaps I should meet him.
I'll lead the way.
You head out to the main hall. out of the streets, and you head east following the great, or the building of the wall. The sounds of the town around you, as usual. From the docks, you can hear the sound of workers. There's quite a crowd of people. You can see that even from this point of view, as you move towards it, the east, down the main roadway that heads to the docks, you can see an area where people are selling things and communicating and trading. The sound of timber being struck and nails and woodwork and carpentry to the left as the walls are being built.
So there's a big cacophony of noises that just isn't.
It's just on a larger scale than anything else. You've been around when people have built things. You've been around when everything's just louder and bigger than life. The colours of the clothing are all mixed. You can see there is literally, even amongst it, again, it's reiterated that there is a system here forming where people have more than others. They're not just, the chieftain, his warriors, and then your power level is associated with them. The more powerful women are married to the more powerful men. There's a different structure here. You can see people that have a level of respect or power that's not warriors. They're not of the warrior caste. They will have been of something else. A stall nearby is selling clothing that has different qualities, has different colours, patterns. Well, the tribe wears brown, it wears hide. Some of them, if they get a bit of money, will have a bit of colour. You can look at here, you can see the entire garment of a checkered with different colours within it. Mm-hmm. Time and money and energy has been spent. It's just, you've never seen before. But mainly, some materials you've never seen before.
So while we're walking to the tents of pleasure,
while this is going on, when I see stuff like that, just before I just interject,
yeah.
When I see stuff that's curious like that, I'll go to one of the stalls and touch this, pick up this garment.
It's very, very thin, well beyond anything you've ever seen.
And the person who's manning the stall, what's their reaction to me?
Well, you pick it up. Yeah. Does that look of fear?
Right. What's this?
It's a long tunic, my lord.
What's it made from?
I regret it. I don't know.
Where did you get it from?
One of the vessels 2-3 days back. I gave a lot of wool, and they supplied me with these. I also. Yeah.
And then you're selling this?
Yes, it's very popular with the girls. I've been told it's very good for the warmer climate, and we're coming into the warmer climate. So instead of having to wear our material normal garments, this is highly sought after.
And your interaction with the people who are supplying this from these ships, how is this done? Is this someone that you know who's bringing you this material, this garment? Or is there someone who, do you go to an individual person? How do you know people on ships? Where's this come from?
Well, my lord, he looks down in voluntary. You can see even from here because there's a low platform. You can see he's got quite a twisted leg. I was reduced to women's work, gutting the fish, when the Zakonik approached me and said that I could be of service to the tribe. Again, once more, and he told me this. He taught me how to count and read, and he set me up with this. And he takes half of everything that we make, and people will come to us from the other tribes. They will buy things from us. They will different coins, and we will then buy other materials. And it's trade, but on a much bigger scale. The concept of trade, light and for item, is well established, obviously.
More barter,
but not for coin.
Yeah.
I buy it off you, what?
Yeah.
And that's what you're getting here. Is he's having difficulty explaining. People buy stuff, they give me coin, and coin is worth more than me just swapping that item for a cloak.
And this has all been arranged through the good Zakonik?
Yes, he's looked after many of the veterans and the lame.
Excellent. And this meeting with the Zakonik is allowing and factoring and being a focal point for where is this occurring? Where does this transaction, these trades occur? Where are they? Just by the docks, or is there?
Yeah, well, I've been here a a few moons now, so I know when the ships come in that have things of interest to me, and I'll go down there and I'll meet up with them. And then I will buy or trade things in, and the ship master will bring his crew will bring the stuff that I've purchased, and I will hand things over. His working men, his slaves, or his crew.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. If you wish, it's please accept it as a gift.
No,
My
I'll look at it.
reward.
I'll look at this and what would I do with this? And throw it to and walk off.
He usually sort of proffers it to you.
I just march on.
Right, you walk
Turn on there. About turn, march.
I'll slow down. Caradak, lead on. I have no knowledge where this place may be. But you could show me.
I'll lead on, continue on with the journey. I will just wanted to say, Master, I should mention that Arvid said that he would have information by tonight.
Information regarding
The girl.
the girl.
He said he would look into it.
The girl. Well, that's going to be interesting. I'll look forward to that. But I think we'll go and see him now. Let's see what he knows already.
As you wish, Master Semathai.
Continue along.
Continue on.
You see the large Thuringian. You recognise the place that had all the laughter and drinking, and it's a lot calmer at this point, but you can still see that there's off-duty crew. The Thuringian looks down at physically. He has no choice because of his absolute bulk and size. But he's, as you would expect, he recognises a Semathai heading towards him, with the shorn head and the tattoos in it. His eyes look at you as you approach and are reverted to glare at the Bacteria. Again, you've been to the Thuringian lands. It's very common. It's a challenge, which the Bacteria, you're well trained, generally don't accept.
So I will move aside the drapes for my master.
Yep. You go through, again, this is a reinforced archway. It's not just stepping through a door, it's quite a, it's about 4 or 5 paces depth of structured timber. You step out into a courtyard. Multiple buildings have been cleared out, and it's an open area. There's a stone area for sitting with some running water, and you can see that all around is very fine, very colourful material. Cloth has been hung over archways and doorways, and it's basically made, it's surrounded in alcoves. Some of them have been opened up, they're pinned back, and you can see there's cushions and pillows, all of vibrant yellows and golds and filigree patterns upon them. Women are all around. You see there's lots of men, all wearing, multiple, representing multiple tribes, but there's also men here that you don't recognise. They seem to be wearing these, to put it bluntly, different clothes. The armour, a curved sword, things that just instantly stick out. I don't see. You just don't see this. You know what it's like to be in this basin amongst these tribes, like yourself. Unruly hair and beards and wool and hide and axes and swords. And then you look at these and you're thinking, there's a guy standing there and he has trousers on that reach right down to the ankle. The billow slightly, you can see the shimmer in the sun. They've got this billowing effect. There's tops that are sashes and wrap around and not just stitched together hide and leather. Clothes that seem to be there for no apparent reason that beyond just to attract your attention. But none more so than this slightly rotund fella that comes towards you. His skin is as dark as yours is pale. Massive smile upon his mouth as he approaches, and he's covered in jewellery, and he's excessive, to say the least. Aha! His voice, deep, almost booming, but held a little bit in check. Semathai! Semathai! He does this big, eloquent bow, leaning forward, one arm outstretched, a leg out, head bowed in absolute supplication. Right. You do my house great honour, Semathai.
Who am I speaking to?
This is Arvid, Master.
Arvid?
He's in charge here.
You're like that to him. Right. Big guy.
He's in charge? Ah, You're Arvid.
I am.
We should go somewhere private. You have things for me.
Then let's discuss these things. He takes you around the side, you go down a couple of, through some doorways. There's more solid buildings here. Eventually, very quickly end up in a solid looking room. Multiple chests, all closed. He sits behind a crudely cut, hewn table. Very tribe-like once you get around the back.
Right.
He turns and sits and grabs a goblet. Wine?
Water this time of the morning and some food.
Well, bring some food, only the best. I want sweetmeats and well-made bread, not that nutty rubbish. Pour some water. Let me post you.
I'll take the water, have a drink.
And what of your friend?
Yes, apparently you met my well-trained killer.
I have.
And he tells me that you have information for me.
Oh,
He tells me that you have information and you will have it for me today. So I'm here for that information. What do you have for me?
well, I think your friend has been a little premature.
Explain.
If he was to be honest, he would have told you that I would be giving you this information later this evening. But not this early. I have yet to be able to gather the information that he has requested, which I no doubt is beyond his comprehension. It is perhaps for you that he was here last night?
The nature of the information and the nature of how you gather. How are you gathering this information? Who are you? Maybe I should go and speak to the people that you haven't had time to speak to. How are you finding out who this girl is? It intrigues me, given the fact that I understand that not much in the way of a description was proffered by my young killer.
He passed on our interesting conversation. I want you to find somebody that I don't know what she looks like, what her name is, or anything about her. Can you find her for me?
And you said yes.
Well, of course.
So I would be keen to understand how this was going to be accomplished.
Well, your killer decided to explain to me that there was a way in and out of the king's great hall.
Hall. Where's the hall?
There cannot be too many people, surely, that know this. That I am not only a purveyor of gifts, but also a purveyor of knowledge. And so, my girls are interested in talking to those that may be aware of this. But it has to be done in a delicate manner, said I. Otherwise, I suggest that perhaps the king, the queen, the Zakinik, and yourself will be deeply displeased to find if somebody was aware of such a secret entrance that they might then go into hiding. And we will never know, because I would perceive it as a threat to the king.
It's information that is not for common consumption, and I'm sure that we can understand that it won't be for common consumption. And if I ever have the understanding that it is of common consumption, I will just presume that it would come from you.
Of course.
And that presumption will of course be correct, and my wrath would be vile and horrible upon you.
Where I come from, I would expect nothing less.
Good.
And I am glad that I finally come across a man of forthcoming threats, and not hidden away.
These aren't threats, these are promises. Now,
I like a good promise.
I shall be back later on tonight. You will provide me with the information of this girl. You will tell me who it is, and we will put this matter to rest. And I will discuss with my young killer here other matters. Thank you so much for your time.
Samnathai, always a service. If there's anything else I can do.
And I'll just dismiss him because I've had enough. Because it's like, right.
Moves out the drapes.
I'll go through. I'll have a look round. And what's everyone? Is everyone else still in repose? Not didn't really
Yep.
care that a Samurai came through. Not really giving us any attention.
So the ones that would be traditionally recognised as tribesmen
Yeah.
try to hide under pillars or leave. Those that are clear as doors go, "Whoop, nah, I'm out. But since equal the amount of warriors here are not of the tribes, they're not of the basin, they completely ignore you.
Right.
You literally don't even bat an eyelid at you in the slightest.
I'll go. We'll leave here. We want to get outside, away from this place. When we get to the Thuringian by the door, I'm going to turn and look at him and ask, what are you doing here? Why are you acting as some sort of personal bodyguard to this foreigner?
I was told to.
You were told to?
I was told to.
Who tells a Thuringian what to do?
King Otwin.
King Otwin told you to protect this, whatever this is.
To protect its lord, its master.
And how long have you been protecting this, whatever this is? How long have you been here?
A season.
Season. And no battle for you? You're here, and your king is happy to put a warrior such as yourself here, where there is no honour, there is no chance to seek glory and death in battle.
Hopefully not for long.
So there's more of yous. You've only been here, or you? There is more than one warrior that comes to here to protect this.
There are a number of us.
Okay, I'll move off. Send a thank you. Say thank you. Yeah, we wouldn't expect it, right?
And also, you know that a Thuringian won't show fear.
Yeah, exactly.
But he will show necessary respect.
Yeah.
But even a Senathai knows, push a Thuringian too much, he might lose his shit and cut you.
Yeah, we're in a fight. Yeah, exactly. And while I can beat him, I don't need to be fighting every Thuringian on the block.
Exactly, yeah. Especially when you don't know how many there's here.
We move away from the door and
head off into town.
well, not before I get too far. And I'm going to stop and turn to Caradak. So, Caradak, when were you going to tell me about this common knowledge of a secret entrance that only we know about and a select other few to the heart of King Bjorn's kingdom, to his own vestments, to his own secret chambers? Was there a time you were going to tell me about this?
No, Master, there wasn't.
No! You weren't going to tell me. Is there anything else you're not telling me? Is there anything else I should know about? I'm going to start drawing power because I'm not liking what I'm hearing. That's what I'm saying to you. I'm not liking what I'm hearing here.
I have failed you, Master, I am aware. I slipped up. I made a mistake.
You see plants nearby started blacken and crisp and die.
I shouldn't have let slip regarding the secret passage. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I should stick to what I'm good at. That's not thinking, and that's just following orders. And killing.
I can get any Vactaria that can do that. Vactaria trained from an early age to do that. What I'd hoped over the years of working with you, of bringing you along, was that I'd got more than a mindless killer. I could get myself a dog for that. Do you want to be a dog? Is that all you see yourself as? A dog? You have a mind, you can read, you understand things, you can make intuition and intuitive steps part of your life. Should I have just got a dog from one of the other Vactaria? Should I go and see Buso and say, you were right, Buso. Turns out, this man is just a dog. I need you to be on your game. I need you to be thinking. I don't need you to be an automaton. What I do need you to do now is I need you to make sure that the king is protected. We were at a small meeting with a man that you may have remembered, a rather tall warrior. Does that bring any recollection to your mind?
I'm aware.
And were you aware of what he said? Can you recall what he said? You've made that particular person and that particular mission harder than it needs to be. Because now, someone may now know about how to get into the heart of King Bjorn's court, past his warriors and past his protection. The level of displeasure that I feel towards you is beyond countenance. And I would like to think that you're going to make a difference now. You will make sure that that secret passageway is guarded at all times. I don't mean stand outside and be obvious, but now your role, as well as being my bodyguard, is to make sure that King Bjorn survives. Do you understand?
Yes, Master Senathai.
Right. Now then, let's go and see whether we can find where Erstat is factoring these meetings between ships. This is very unsympathetic, and I'll direct him.
Okay, I'll do as I must, and I will head to wherever I've been told. Where are we going?
Do you have knowledge where this port is, where the buildings where we may find Erstat? Did you come across that?
So there's this clear moment where you're like, lead the way, Caradak, and apologies, Master, I am unaware.
Well, let's see what we can find together in that case. We're gonna head towards the docks. Well, we're at the docks of previous nights, and let's head to the docks and see if we can find anywhere that just.
You spot him almost instantly.
Oh, right. Okay.
As you approach towards the docks itself down the main hill, you can see there's quite a lot of vessels in different shape sizes. There's the sails indicative of different locations, different places, things that you don't recognise. Signals and mixed in with the tribes, like the rest of the town. There are obviously visitors from further afield, people you don't know, tribes of man that the Seventh Eye don't control. Right. And to the right-hand side of the main dock, two main piers, where two main docks reach out, considerably larger than they used to be. Not in the last couple of days. I mean, since you were last here, and it's full. There's ships docking. There is that one area with the rooftop and the water and the timber struts, and it's got a considerable amount of tables, and people are sitting there. And you can see Erstat is sitting, almost like a man that's sent there by the king. He sits at a table, and you can see that there are several people in front of him. Beside him on the table, you can see there's bags. There's some loose coins, there's a plate, a platter on the right with stripped chicken or some kind of food stuff. There's a goblet by him. You can see a Thuringian standing beside him. Massively scarred, gouged face, huge axe, typical of his tribe. While shipmasters and tribesmen and other people stand before him. There's even more to sitting, drinking and eating, but there's a distinct gap, a clearing around him. Very unsympathetic.
Right.
No place for a Sakinik. This structure has no name, but it's got a lot of attention. And you work your way down through the trade, through the merchant area, where people are not just trading, like I say, like for like objects, which is traditional, but they don't have stalls, and then they don't normally do it for coin.
Right. So they're not just bartering; they're actually doing it for this.
This coinage.
I'm gonna because I don't think about actually when I think about it. I'm gonna go up to one of the people when they've got them for coin and just. I'm looking at the wares that they're proffering, and I'll say, these coins that you're bartering for, can you show me one, please?
Yes, sir. Because
I'm very nice to you. And I'm going to look at it. And what is it?
It's some kind of metal. You can see there's been some crude engraving upon it. Normally it's a head. Well, in this case, you can see it's a head. On the other side, you can see that it's got what appears to be two twinned serpents, their heads facing away. Not.
No. Chrome.
Exactly, not Chrome, opposite Chrome. But you see when he opens up a pouch that there's multiple different colours. You can see that this is like quite a dark.
Do I recognise the metal?
Yeah,
it's iron. And what does this, in your wares, what does this get me?
By itself, nothing, my lord. But several of those would get you, for example, this material here to keep your neck warm. Material. This garment here to keep your neck warm, a scarf.
And where are these coins, these metal tallies? Where are they coming from? What is the source of these tallies? Who's giving you them?
They're coming from. It's been the last couple of months. It was the Seventh Eye, the Zakinik. Well, you call them Seventh Eye. The Seventh Eye introduced this and said that it was coin trade, and that with it, each coin has its own value, and each head comes from a different place, as far as I understand. But half of what we get goes to the Zakinik, and the rest we then use to trade with these. The other tribes are picking it up.
And King Bjorn is...
He's aware of it.
He's aware of it?
Yes.
All right, I'll flick this thing back to him.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get close. It's going to be difficult. We're going to head down to where Erstat is. I'm going to try and, because I can't hear from where I am, presumably. I want to hear what he's.
Too much noise around.
Yeah, there'll be so I'm going to try and make my way down in the way that someone who creates a bubble of pushing everything out the way can try and get somewhere close enough to hear. There must be. I'm not going to be doing that, is there? People will notice.
Yeah, I tried that last time.
I'm going to quickly work out and go like, this is not going to work.
Yeah, you move quietly and people go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like.
Oh, here's Moses.
Caradak, a job for you. This job you will do. And we'll do it successfully. Have a listen. I want to know what's going on down there. I can't go down there without Erstat being very aware of me. You need to blend in. Blend in.
You would like me to blend in, Master 75?
I need you to hear what's going on.
I
down
am
there.
a Vaktori. I stand out.
Then you need to, for the purposes of this, to not be Vaktori.
Okay. I'll take a look around the local market or stall for a cloak, which is going to genuinely cover to make me look like people around here. If I need a pinch off someone's back,
You're probably going to have to,
I'll
I'll just
do
say
it,
you
yeah.
probably need to leave your spear
yeah,
and shield.
Yeah. I'm aware of it. I'm learning, right?
You got this.
I'm learning. I've got this, right? I learned from the bar.
Yeah.
Right?
Heard this one before. Yeah. I'll take a I'll take
fully
a
armoured
shield. Yeah.
No, I'll leave the shield and the spear, and I'll grab a cloak which covers me from top down. Yeah.
I will
Okay.
tell the person who he takes the cloak from that I have need of the cloak, and the cloak will be returned if I feel that I need to return the cloak.
So I'll
But
put the hood up,
But I'm sure that won't be a problem.
pop the
Absolutely
hood,
not.
pop the hood up,
It's a gift.
and is this sufficient, Master? Do I blend in?
No, I know what you look like. Get down there, do your thing.
I'll turn and I'll head towards Erstat.
Okay. You try
Right
and
next to him.
just pulls up a chair. Right? Yeah.
Just there, like that.
It's not the Vaktori, just carry on.
Like that.
Well, okay, so you're trying to eavesdrop. Okay, I'm assuming that you're going to approach from the back, from a flank.
Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere where it's
Watch down
The
like,
busy-
I'm nobody. Get out of my way, peasant. Crack. Make way for a nobody. Crack.
so people around. I mean, I'll try my very best to mingle in, to my knowledge of watching people mingle in. If there's local stores nearby, I'll sort of things are going, oh, that's nice, you know, just interest and listening, trying to get as close as I possibly can. Not
Okay.
close, I don't want to go too far into the crowd, because,
Crowds everywhere.
no, like around Erstat, because I'm assuming he's got a crowd around him, you said.
Not
that?
around him,
Oh,
in
not
front
around-
of him. Yeah.
In front of him, okay. So, yeah, well, I'll mingle, I'll squeeze
best
in.
you can.
Yeah, as best as I can.
Well, you don't have to get too far, as the conversation isn't being. It's not quiet. They are just talking. And basically, as each person comes forward, they are. He seems to be holding some kind of court. You've seen the Senathai do this before, but not in this sense. And a lot of what's being said seems to go above your head. But the impression you get is that the ships that are coming in are explaining what they're bringing in. And he is literally charging them almost for the privilege of berthing their vessel. Sometimes he'll take items. Most of the time he takes coin. But depending on what they're bringing, so the numbers on you don't hear enough or understand enough to quantify that it's this, that certain things have the same price. But as the morning goes on, there's not that much coming through. The tide is literally in. The vessel shipmasters eventually get their way through, and he's just basically taking coin for them to berth their vessel based on what they say they're carrying. There's weapons, there's clothing, armour. Some bring people. Skin tone, eye shape. There's a variety here, as much as there is in the clothing. Some seem to be brutal, some don't. Some a lot more relaxed, merchant-like, and with them all come rough-looking crewmen who move off into the crowd itself. or sit and drink. And there's a complete lack, from your point of view, of understanding of a hierarchy of power base. But vast majority are not tribesmen. Now, you were there before when the Seventh Eye asked how long this had been going on. You are educated enough to understand the passage of time. You strongly suspect months is massively underrating how long this has been going on. This is well established. You know enough from Ulmakor and listening to him and Godric that it's been 5 years since Ulmakor was here last. The Zakonik has been here for 5 years. The Zakonik is the one that's built this up, and nobody here seems to be completely overawed by what's been discussed. It seems that this is something that's been going on for many years. It's established, well established, this is not new.
Okay. Right, I'll head back.
Were you still standing at the top?
Yeah.
Being avoided?
Yeah, being avoided, yeah.
Now and then going, oh! Okay, you see him walk towards you. You're obviously still cowled, but you recognise him because you put it on him.
Yeah.
So, ah!
Who are you?
Yes, Caradak, what did you find?
It appears as if the Zakonik is making far more coin at the docks. He seems to be charging coin as the ships dock in, charging each ship depending on what they bring in. And this, from my understanding, has been going on for a lot longer than, what would we say, months or seasons, or how do we?
Yes?
Yes. No, in how would we describe, would we say months in this time? Oh, it's been going on for months, this. Or would we say
Seasons.
Seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seasons.
So this has been undergoing for many seasons, perhaps years.
Okay. And the money, these coins, any idea? I mean, are they just giving it to him and he's putting them in a box?
Yes.
And they're happy with it?
Yes.
Any threats?
No.
Everyone, it's all, well, this is
Yes.
this is so,
This seems to be the norm.
this is so normal. It's so being done. No
The
issues. at all.
Zakonik, as it seems, has been very busy since he's been here in his time.
And King Bjorn's men supporting him.
I don't know if I'm unaware if this is support from
Is
King Bjorn.
Are the King Bjorn's men with him? His
No.
warriors.
No.
So he's by himself.
Yes.
There's no other warriors there.
There were his own.
It's all
The it appears the Thuringians are his security.
Thuringians again. Young warriors or veterans?
Were they younger veterans?
all veterans, yeah.
All veterans.
High standing warriors in that case.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It appears, Master, that he's been, as we say,
And he's being supported by, and I can't remember the name of the king for the.
Thuringian king?
Yeah, the king. Otwin. So Otwin is. Remind me, Otwin was there. Otwin's representation was there last night, but Otwin wasn't there. Was it? I can't remember. Can you remember if it was one of his senior men was representing the Thuringians at the Bjorn's Portent?
yes.
Yeah, I can't remember. Things are going on too fast.
Yeah, well, you'd have recognised one of his. It's hard with the Thuringians, they don't have not necessarily one champion per se.
Yeah,
But you recognised by his scarring and his.
It was
I
a
think
se-
you remember
it
this
was-
guy called Scotty.
all right. There's a. Out of interest, was our good Sakonik dressed normally, or was he dressed in his finery that he seems to be wearing? What other people in finery? Were other people wearing these soft skinned garments that we have been seeing?
He is dressed as he usually is.
Okay. Well, you can regain the regalia of Victoria. I think we will upset our good Zachanik yet again. And I'll tell him, you need to get dressed.
I'll get dressed.
You can throw the thing away.
Aside.
Yeah.
Right, throw the note.
Yeah. Step back. Someone's touching that. And let's march down to.
Lead the way.
Yeah.
I thought you were telling him.
Go on, then lead the way.
Halfway down, you're like, hand up!
Wait a minute, I'm on fire! Was I always a duck?
I'm not quite sure how it all went wrong. Okay, you.
So I will lead the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Water pot, the people part before you like water, as you make a strong line straight towards the gathering point. Obviously.
Does Erstat see
gonna-
me? Come in. I'm not hiding.
Initially,
I'm not hiding myself.
unless you're going to shout at him, you let him know you're coming, or you're going to, because it's a couple of steps up. Remember, you're just going to walk.
Yeah, no,
climb
I'm
up
just
it.
going to walk in a direct, like
Yeah.
an arrow straight towards him.
Okay.
To the point where when I want to catch it, when he catches my eye, I want to give him a smile that says, "I really want to speak to you about what this is all about." Like not a smile, but a threat, a menace.
You put one foot on the step, and you're stepping forward, helm down, shield and spear. You walk along, you're aware it's at an angle, you're getting closer. He's talking to somebody, and as you go, you step like that. You're not tunnel visioned, but you know that to move any further, there's going to be a confrontation. As you suddenly go like that, as a Thuringian comes out of the crowd, you obviously beeline that. You turn, and as Thuringian steps straight forward, and the hand goes straight onto your shield, and you can feel that vice-like grip of this really monster just go on your shield, and you go. And you've got your spear here, you know that is completely ineffective at this location. And you've gone from a visual to this isn't actually going to help. But the Thuringian goes like that, and you can hear this. Well, his right hand, he's got his hand on a cudgel, and there's sort of like a growl. His teeth are bared. You can see the rotting yellow stumps and still meat in there. And his beard, there's still wetness from a nail that he suddenly threw back. It's almost a grunt growl. You obviously come up short. As you look up the Thuringian, you see Victorian now clasped. His shield is held by a big meaty paw.
How would you like me to proceed, Master Senthine?
I'd like to get to see our good friend Erstat.
Oh, Ulmakor, I mean, Suet, it's fine, it's absolutely fine. Let them come through, of course. There's a misunderstanding, my lord. He takes a moment.
Unhand me, barbarian. Listen to your master.
You see, you everything about him.
You don't want to die tonight.
I always want to die. I'll see you a little later. So, takes a couple of steps back. This is mumble. Pass by, little man.
Let's glare at him as I pass.
You can easily. Other people behind him are like pushing chairs back. At that point, you note there's at least another 4.
Even I've got pent aggression, man.
There's 4 Thuringians in the crowd because the crowd started to back away. In total, there were 5 Thuringians standing in the immediate vicinity. He is. Oh, you can see this froth building up in the corner of his mouth. The others are a lot more calmer. As calm as any Thuringian can be.
At the moment.
But this guy's blood forming on his lip where he's chewing on it. Calm. Takes a couple of steps back, and you are allowed to approach too. At this point, there is no queue. People are just eating and drinking, and the tables quite quickly start to separate, giving you more than enough respectful distance around you.
Right, I'll walk up to Erstat and...
He stands up, obviously. Please sit, drink, food.
Erstat, you do keep the strangest of friends. What's the sudden interest in the Thuringians? They're a little unstable, don't you find?
Krulk told me that I should get to know them better.
Who?
The Zachanik of the Thuringians.
Oh, who? I can't remember all the Zacanics, you know. So much going on in my mind. Who?
Oh, the Thuringian Zachanik. He said I should get to know them since they were coming here, and they've been very, very, very good for the town.
I think Bjorn is happy with all these Thuringians in his town.
The Thuringians are like, effectively surround you. Very happy.
All right.
Who wouldn't be happy with such vaunted warriors?
But the smell, don't you find? I'm looking around at these things, you know.
Their eyes seem to, they're not, but you could always, it looks like everything's just going black.
Yeah.
You are, everything is standing on edge.
Yes.
Combat is literally, you feel, is imminent. There's just threats all around you. The Thuringians are all reacting. They're starting to, you see the muscles are starting to get pumped as their adrenaline's blasting into them. Maybe not the best time. Semnathai.
What's going on here? This looks very interesting and unusual. I would like to know what's going on here. What is going on here?
The king has invited many of the tribes, and a lot of the tribes know other peoples, and they've all been invited to come to this area and to share their ability, the things they can make, weapons, some great weapons, and clothing, and thought and things. It's a trade centre. He wants to build knowledge of others, to bring everyone together and in friendship.
And these tallies that you're taking, that I was watching from afar with keen interest, bags of tallies, coins, round things.
You can see there is chests.
Yeah. And what's this for?
The king believes that we have not developed as well as we should have, and that some of the older places where man live have found trade to be a very powerful method to expand and establish, to learn. And several years ago, he gave us permission to start, and we found it to be very successful simply because we give them a place to come together.
Who's we?
The king.
The king give we permission. Why does Semnathai need permission for anything?
I meant to give his tribe, the Umbaromians, I am here to facilitate.
Facilitate in what way?
Well, all these people, they all need to have one central point. The king can't be expected to be the person that...
Why would a Semnathai be needed to do this? Is it...
Because with, and he lowers his voice, with trade, which is pointless, there comes information. Not everyone here knows who the Semnathai are. And with this information, the Semnathai can reach out and bring them into the fold. But we have to tread carefully, because we do not know where all these people come from. But I am finding it out, I am getting this information, I am passing it to Ingvar. And in time, the Semnathai will let their presence be known, because if there are tribes that are not under our control, as you will must agree, Soviet, they must be taught the error of their ways.
That I do agree.
And this is just a method to make it happen.
So all this metal goes to the king?
More or less.
More or less? All of it?
If this is the way of the world, the Semnathai should have a part in it.
I'll pick up a bag of metal, and sort of pour it out on the table and just push it around and look at it. And this has value to you?
To me, no, of course not. No. There is only true power is that of the gods, but this has power amongst the tribes. It makes them feel like they have something of importance.
Curious, don't you find? Curious.
I did at first, but they are of lesser creatures, are they not?
They don't have the understanding of the gods like we do.
Exactly.
That's what you mean.
Yes, and therefore they put their souls in our hands, but they believe that this is moving forward, that these older civilizations.
Maybe we should let Ingvar know that these tallies have some sort of weight.
I've told him. I've made sure that he's well aware many times. In fact, I keep him aware of the numbers. But the question really to be answered is, if the Semnathai brought the tribes into this area, what happens if we left some of them behind? What if they didn't perish? What if they continued without our guidance? Like the north. If you go too far north, they lose their minds. What happens if the south considers us to be lost or forgotten? We need to bring them back in. Obviously, it's for the Soviet and Ingvar, but I am just literally a servant of the seventh eye as a Sakanik. I am a servant of the gods and I must guide the Umbarogan. And if this is the way forward, then I don't want to close the door on it straight away until we find out that that's what you and Ingvar wish.
It is something that has been discussed amongst the ruling council. It is not unknown to us about the tribes to the south and their lack of protection and guidance from the gods. This is unusual, though. This is unusual, and a lot of Thuringians. It's perhaps balance to the tribes. There should be more representation than other than Thuringians. Do you not think? Maybe it's more Umbarogans in the centre of Umbarogan power. That I find curious. I shall speak to King Bjorn. I shall speak to him now and find out his mind.
Of course, Seventh Eye.
And find out his direction of why he would let so many Thuringians be around what looks to be a new development within his own centre of power.
Of course. I shall join. I shall come with you.
No. Stay here. Important work needs to be done here. I understand, and I agree that collecting of information, well, that's one of the prime duties of a Zaknik, as I am well aware. You stay here. I will speak to King Bjorn, and I will find out his thoughts on why so many Thuringians in his own town in such a pivotal role, and yet I can't see any Umbarogan warriors other than the general warriors that are passing by. I don't see any honor guard. I don't see any of his men here. Thank you for your time.
He chews his lip,
Good Zaknik.
breathes through his nose.
Yeah.
Just so that.
And if you would move these Thuringians out the way, we wouldn't want to have to display the prowess of the Vaktari against one of these unfortunates.
Of course. Jokel. Bleeding into his beard at this point. Looks. There will be time for Thuringian challenges later. He backs off.
Right.
You've seen both of you have seen a guy, a Thuringian close to Berserk. You've never seen a Thuringian this close to Berserk back down, especially just to calm words. You've seen a Thuringian this close have his head smacked with a large bat to calm him down until he can wake up.
I've been at that point.
You are literally like that, ready. You know Jokel's going. There is no shadow of doubt. And he goes, and he actually backs off, but he's not calming. But he takes a step back. The other Thuringians do likewise.
Are you done?
Victoria.
Not much.
And I'll make my way down with. I don't care.
I walk past and I glare at him some more.
Just flick it.
You can see it's almost like his foot is being dragged towards him.
Can I just find the test? Tink! Oh. I'll tweak the nose of death.
I was so tempted to say something there, but I think this will just be like, shut up. It's everybody. All the things go, nah.
Okay. So you start walking up towards the town.
Yeah, I want to head back to King Bjorn's centre of the palace, or the meeting area. What used to be a roundhouse has now changed into whatever this huge big wooden structure is.
You're partway there, halfway up, and you hear.
I'll get him!
You hear Erstat's voice raised. Huh? Sandathai, be aware! You turn and you see the Thuringians, led by Jokel, at full charge. Axes are drawn. You see them run up, and then literally as you turn and see them, they let out the bestial as they come charging up the road towards you. Completely and total wild. Eyes have gone. They're glazed.
How many?
5 of them.
5 of them, right.
As I... no! What?
And
Been waiting for this moment. Okay.
excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Oh, you've got
The
the.
Thuringians going.
Is that last bit? That last bit. Ding.
Yeah, I think.
Just a second. Just get that big. Just that one bit where it's the equivalent of you just in the Mines of Moria. Just go, what's that? And you pull the, and then it's like the chain in the bucket falls down. Like,
The clatter.
A part of me was like, no, I'm not that. You know, the
It's your pride.
the game we played when I played a known gangster, that one. Part of me was that character almost came. I was about to say, "All right, princess."
Yeah,
I think that would have sent him over the edge. Just a bit.
or to confuse everyone. Like,
What's a princess?
I'm not a princess. I'm not sure Caradak. I don't think Caradak has the healing prowess that you might think he has.
No.
No. I will break his fist all over my face. Haha.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. So obviously, as we know, Thuringians are berserkers. Individually, they are berserkers, but they're also shield wall breakers individually. They cannot feel pain when they're enraged, and they are ferocious animals. You're not just fighting, or you're not fighting anybody, of course, at this point. But the way that this Thuringian attack upon you on the street in mid-morning, and 5 of them, and you don't have a shield wall, and each one takes a lot. You obviously would assume that Caradak, basically this Caradak and Ulmakor is turned as this attack is coming, and that's when we're going to cease, we're going to stop. So that's obviously one thing for next week to be covered off. But before that, what do you think of Ovid?
He was out of place, yeah, but he's in place. He's completely out of place for who is he? He's an interloper. What is his position? He seems very comfortable here.
Yeah.
But he has influence.
Absolutely.
He doesn't seem concerned. He knows of the Sendathai, even if we don't know about him. He obviously is a information broker of some sort. And I want to speak to Bjorn to find out what he knows about him, because who is this? Again, more and more of this is, hence my message to Godric, what's going on, because we don't know about it, and we're the Soviet, and if we don't know about it, that doesn't make sense. Eh? The Soviet don't know it. We always know about it. We know about everything. If we don't know about it, it's not important.
Well, we've got. Thank you very much, Pneumonica. Pneumonica's comment is, it's nice to see people calmly discussing their trouble in a calm and rational way at high volume with heavy weapons.
Well,
That's the only way it works.
Well, this is from my point of view. There's a double sort of message here. Is obviously there's high volume and heavy weapons, screaming and shouting within the game, but of course, in case you don't realise, we also have actual technical issues with our volume. So for all I know,
We could be
when
screaming,
you've been shouting, when there's been shouting and screaming, we could be deafening everyone.
Yeah.
So Pneumonica came and went earlier, I believe. Pneumonica. I don't know if you've been here for the entire episode. We have.
Hello, Pneumonica.
Hello.
Or if you've sort of been in and out to see how things are going. We've got some back content, which some of it is on Twitch, some of it is on YouTube. But we have been Daleks, so we're still suffering audio issues. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
We're still working on the technicality of it. We've got our encoder that's going up and down, but we're hoping sometimes we've got it great and other times not so much. So thanks for putting up with us. And Pneumonica says howdy.
Howdy. How are you?
I know we have Luther with us as well. We've got 5 viewers at this moment, so there's some quiet people sitting there if you want to say hello.
Yeah. Hello, viewers.
From the bits that you did understand, have we got any queries? Pneumonica asked earlier, for example, that we couldn't interact with the game, which is understandable, but wanted to know what game we were doing. Luther responded with Warhammer Fantasy. So that's the bit of interaction that we've had going down through the chat channel. So this is Warhammer. If you haven't seen our previous, it's not Warhammer like you would expect. It's 2,500 years before the current timeline. Well, it is literally before Sigma. This is the time of King Bjorn, Sigma's father, and the other kings. The tribes they've just moved out of chieftains. Trade is just becoming. What we've added to the game is a unknown factor that is 2,500 years is not talked about, that doesn't exist, so we're not canon in that sense. And we've added the Semnathai. Semnathai is a word, is a title for law speaker that was from a long period back in our own history. And they take on a druid-like role, an amoral group that led the tribes of man into what is now known as the Reich Basin. So this is very much in a previous time where we've got the north side to the north. They're attacking as they come down south. But it is previous to any Games Workshop canon. We've added our own story because we don't want to step on toes, and we want people to see a storyline that will develop, you know, when people like yourselves will watch it and go, Semnathai, but they're not talked about. Well, that's the story. Why aren't they? Because they're a power. We've got Nevin playing one of the Semnathai called Ulmakor. He is part of this sect that talks to the gods, talks to the tribes on behalf of the gods, and they're protected by the Vakhtari, which is Caradak, played by Talbot here. Their role is, in this case, is they've come to the Umbarogan tribes because King Bjorn has started to bring the tribes together where the Semnathai want the tribes separate. They've turned up, it's been many years, and we found a Sakinik, a lower level of the Semnathai, a council member, not a council member per se, a druid that's advising the tribes.
Yeah,
And he's not
advisor.
acting normal.
No, is that anything other than a Semnathai would be, and that's immediately causing, as the Semnathai representative, as a servant, as a senior member of the Semnathai, of course, I'm looking at someone in a position where I used to be and going, I don't recognise this. This is not a Zakonik. Zakoniks don't behave like this. But then I don't recognise the town. The town's not the town that I remember in such a short period of time. And then on top of that is, as a member of the Soviet, as a member of the ruling class, why don't I know about this? Semnathai know everything, and at the top of that pile, which is where I'm inhabiting, I know more than any other Semnathai other than Ingvar, who's the leader of the Semnathai. Why don't we know about it? So it's wheels against wheels, and we're thinking, developing that things aren't, well, whose plan are we working to? So there's all that going on as well.
And that is the story. So if you don't recognise what we're talking about, that is the whole purpose of this story. Is we've based it well before the established timeline and some loosely written stuff. If you're a Warhammer fan, then you know that there was some books written by Games Workshop. There is canon, but it's before his time. It is literally just before his time. It's the lead up to it, and we've added a bit of taste in here. So we want you to follow the story, find out who these guys are, what their interaction in history was, and effectively why they're not realised 2,500 years later.
Why we disappeared. If we were so prevalent and so pivotal, or at least so obvious during this time, and yet no one seems to know anything about us at all.
Yeah.
Going forward into the Warhammer old world as we know it, no one ever knows anything about the Semnathai. So why? What happened?
Yeah.
And the other thing you may notice as well is, which is something that's particular to the Codex group, we don't roll dice. We don't feel the need to roll dice. We don't need the, I'd call it a crutch, but we don't need to have that tool of a dice throw to let us know if things work.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is right now we're looking at storytelling at its at its core, investigation, what's going on and how does it happen. And you could be saying, well, I want to look into this. I need to roll the dice. Do you notice somebody coming towards you? Roll the dice. We haven't done any of that. Next week, of course, will be our first showcase of combat without dice.
Combat without dice, which we have done before other many years over the years, where we've been using this exact same methodology, and it does work. But if you've never seen a storytelling of a combat scene, next week you'll see storytelling of a combat scene, which doesn't involve dice rolling.
And of course, it still involves injuries.
Oh yeah,
Yes, very much so. Yes.
It may involve some running.
The story part of this, without the dice rolling, it doesn't need the random side of it. There was 5 Thuringians charging up the street at you. There's going to have to be some quick thought processes. We're going to have to be really thick and straight, because if you allow 5 Thuringians who are going berserk to attack, you're going to have problems. You played Amber Diceless, so the idea is familiar to you, if not especially well known. Well, no matter, I hope you'll be here next week. We're going to be at 2 o'clock. The fight will start as the game begins. We say 2 o'clock. It's 2-ish. Because of our technical issues every week. But of course, YouTube will also be there available for you. But we would love you to be here live and see it. Especially as someone like yourself who's actually done this before. We want your take on it. Obviously, it'll be 2 hours later before we'll discuss it. And hopefully you'll give us an idea of how you do things and how we do things. And, if you like it. Because we're interested in this. We're interested in other people's thoughts and process ideas, how they've done things. But really what it is once we get through that, we want to know how you feel the story is, who the characters are, what they are, because these guys don't know, because we're out of game now at this point, we don't know what chaos is. We don't know how the gods are.
No, nothing.
All they know is that the North have the older gods. Thank you very much for your donation there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, exactly. We've tried repeatedly. Basically same with their games. They never start on time, ever.
Yeah.
And we're desperately trying to get this all sorted out. We've got our green screens, we've got images here, and we're basically just starting up, getting the story going, and we want you there.
Yeah,
we want you in with us.
Because with your support, I say this on our Twitter handles and on my vlogs, that without your support, none of this is possible. And we're very much into our storytelling and developing stories and characters and campaigns. And like you say, we really hope that you can tune in live, because like I said, this is an excellent opportunity for you to sort of chat with us after and some afterthoughts.
It is a process.
Yeah. It is a process.
The good thing about this is that it's the essence of all role playing. Role playing is all about taking you in the moment, getting you in the story, getting you in the book, and actually you living it. And for us personally, the way we've always thought is it's a real distraction. And just as Gandalf sees the Balrog, he immediately pulls his dice out. Wait a minute, just a second. Rolls the dice. Oh no, I've fumbled, says Legolas, and he drops his out. It doesn't happen like that. No. It's just the pure story. And I use it that way because the whole point is we're trying to get in the moment. We're trying to get into who our characters are and just living that.
Yeah.
And when you've got a good GM, which we do here, and Kane's a really good GM.
Thank you.
He just lets the story go, and when we say things like, and I charged the dragon with my stumpy wooden cudgel, then we're probably not going to be in for a good day. But maybe the whole point is that's not what the character would do. Maybe the character, rather than just being a throwaway thing on a bit of paper with dice rolls, that is not me. I'm Ulmakor. Ulmakor wouldn't do that. Why would he do that? He is also aware of his he's aware of his own mortality, and maybe he think like Ulmakor. And so we just need to role play that as storytellers, and that's under Kane's direction, obviously.
So as you just asked, is it our first game session? So it's not. This is our 4th episode. As you're well aware, no doubt anyway, that Twitch keeps our back broadcasts for a certain amount of time. We've highlighted a couple to get it going, but we've basically stuck them on to YouTube at this point. So go onto YouTube, look for the Cortex group. You'll see our playlists. You can see that we've got when this uploads to YouTube in a few hours, you'll see there's 3 there already. But during the week, we're also going to be doing the Cortex group versus, and we're doing other silly things, whether it be, as you can see, none of us are exactly in our teens.
I'm in prime.
So we're going to be doing daft things, for example, this week we're going to go on Xbox, so we're going to go on Battlefield 4. And we're basically going to play it really badly.
As you've never seen before. As only a load of middle-aged dads can play.
Dads do Xbox.
We did Munchkin last week.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, you'll see that's up there.
That's
with terrible audio.
Yeah, that's that part of the week is just fun.
Yeah.
That's not to say this isn't fun, but this part is almost like this is our mission. To show role players that you can do a bit more without rolling dice. The rules are. It's really the rules can get in the way. What really we've found out over the years, and we've been doing this for many years, is that if you can get into the story, you don't need the rules.
And we did the dice. It's not that we didn't do dice.
No,
we did dice, and then when we transitioned, we thought, wow, we don't really need it, because end of the day we can stay in the moment till the very end, and you don't need a break for that moment. You talk about the randomness that dice offers. If you cast your mind back to even like the simple chest scene, and was it episode 3 or 2 that Caradak was fumbling his way around a room trying to look for information. That was a clear example that Caradak is well aware. Well, I'm aware of Caradak's abilities. He's a warrior. He's not a rogue. He's not a thief. So that's an example of where I would roll dice and I would
Yeah.
fumble and I would fail my rolls and but we did all of that without dice and it was great.
It was more the fact that we didn't need to know that he
No.
was going to rumble. We didn't need to know he's got a perception of 21 and you roll it. He's a warrior and he's not, when it comes to this sort of espionage thing, he's fairly rubbish.
Yeah.
And that was shown by the fact that he managed to ascertain there was a room there and he found something that wasn't really hidden and went, oh, I found this, and that's probably it. And like, you know, but it didn't take out the moment that this was Caradak going, well, this is obviously what I came for, clutching a bit of random paper.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. But we get to develop the story, the characters a lot more. We all have history. We've done some sort of development in ourselves. So yeah, just keep tuned because as the story evolves, because we don't know how the story is going to evolve, it's going to be interesting to see how our characters
Well,
work out what's going on. Yeah.
Well, as has been pointed out there, as we've been talking, so Monica is obviously quite happily chatting to us, whereas everyone else seems to be quiet. So thank you very much for actually
Monica,
interacting
you're an
with
absolute legend.
We don't bite.
us. Monica's sick of being the oldest person wherever they are on the internet. So we know exactly what that's about. You know, late 30s and 40s and.
My name's Conor McLeod of the Clam. I feel like
You've been around a while.
I've been around for 2.5 centuries now.
Yeah.
Total. It feels like,
But I'll also point out, as far as Caradak's best lockpick is known to the amateurs as an axe.
yeah.
Been there, done that. And of course, there was the subtle approach that Caradak went for, but unfortunately wound Ulmakor up to the point where Ulmakor, warping the environment around him physically in such an anger, literally just started smashing locks. And of course, Erstat is completely oblivious to the fact that his room has been
Ransacked.
We'll find out very shortly.
Yeah.
But, well, for those that are watching, and I know that we've got audio problems again going on this. Your batteries are dying. Monica, thank you very much for your interactions. For everyone that's here, we've got quite a few people here at the moment. Please watch what we've got going on so far. We've got several broadcasts there and highlights. Please go to our YouTube channel as well to search for the Cortex Group. Watch us there. Midweek is going to just be something different. It's going to be us on Xbox making fools of ourselves. Get to know us. Come on, Xbox. If you do show up and you're following us on there, we'll tell you where we are. It's going to be Battlefield 4 if you can. If not, watch it. But watch our previous channel broadcasts. See how the campaigns began, where it is, why we've got to where we are by episode 4. And tune in next Sunday for the roleplay, please. And thank you very much. Thanks
Twitter,
for being friends.
Twitter.
Twitter's
Find us on
above
Twitter.
Right up
Find
there,
us
there's
on
a Twitter
Twitter
link.
because I'll always be posting. We'll all post things on there all the time.
Can't keep off the thing.
Yeah. Can't
And-
keep.
And if we want friends. You befriend us, we befriend you. We'll check out your content. Let's all
Absolutely.
get together. We help each other out. And that's what it's all
That's
about.
what it's all about,
And,
absolutely.
we've got some new friends today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.